Cardinal McElroy prays for the Pope's recovery and reflects on his message of peace. Cardinal Robert McElroy, the newly appointed Archbishop of Washington, D.C., held his final news conference as he prepared to leave the Diocese of San Diego. During the gathering, he expressed prayers for the Pope's recovery and recounted the pontiff's heartfelt calls for peace and solidarity with those suffering worldwide. Cardinal McElroy praised Pope Francis for his unwavering pastoral dedication and highlighted the global appreciation for the Pope's efforts to extend the Church's outreach, particularly to the poor, vulnerable, and marginalized. In a world rife with conflict and instability, he emphasized the Pope's consistent commitment to sharing the Gospel's message of love, compassion, and care. Looking back on his time in San Diego as part of his farewell address, Cardinal McElroy shared his gratitude toward the Diocese of San Diego, where he served for a decade. He spoke warmly of the vibrant and diverse community he had grown deeply attached to, a cultural mosaic he will greatly miss. He reflected on his joy and fulfillment in ministering to such a dynamic and close-knit group. Upholding dignity in migration matters. When asked about his meetings with Pope Francis in Rome, Cardinal McElroy remarked that the Pope often inquired about the situation along the U.S.-Mexico border and the well-being of migrants there. McElroy recalled how his diocese's Catholic charities worked tirelessly to provide essential services to migrants and refugees, at one point serving nearly 800 individuals daily with healthcare and basic necessities, legally and temporarily, pending court decisions on their asylum or refugee claims. These were people allowed into the U.S. addressing the February 18 lawsuit filed by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops against the federal government. Cardinal McElroy explained that the legal action stemmed from an abrupt cessation of payments for services contracted to local churches as part of a previously shared humanitarian effort. During his response, McElroy referenced a recent letter from Pope Francis to U.S. bishops, where the Pope emphasized the intrinsic dignity of every human being. This principle, McElroy noted, must guide policies surrounding migration as nations seek to balance security with humane treatment. He expressed concern over what he described as a growing cultural trend of dehumanizing migrants through labels such as undocumented illegals or associating them broadly with criminality. The Cardinal cautioned against such sweeping generalizations, pointing out that many migrants arrive with legal status after fleeing violence, persecution, or dire economic conditions. He stressed that Pope Francis' message serves as a reminder to view migrants first as brothers and sisters. He urged society to address immigration challenges thoughtfully, focusing on real issues like border security without losing sight of human dignity. The Church's role in society in response to questions about the Catholic Church's social role. Cardinal McElroy emphasized that its mission is not to craft political solutions or shape specific policies but to offer moral guidance rooted in gospel values and Catholic teaching. The Church's focus, he said, should be on illuminating societal issues through the lens of compassion and equality. Acknowledging the turbulent times faced by both the U.S. and the world at large, McElroy posed reflective questions about the nation's identity. How do we define a compassionate society? How do we genuinely uphold equal dignity for every person? And how do we manifest these principles in everyday life? McElroy highlighted that this is a pivotal moment in U.S. history and pointed to a need for gospel principles to guide conversations and policies addressing today's pressing challenges. The Church's overarching goal, he concluded, is to ensure that respect for human dignity remains at the forefront of these discussions while bearing faithful witness to gospel values.